Hello everyone, Anita Henderson here with the Genealogist Writing Room, and I'm so super excited to be here with Nikki Williams Sebastian.
Hello.
She is a first-time RootsTech attendee.
Yes.
She is another Georgia person, and she is also a member of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Nikki, welcome.
Thank you, Anita.
I'm
Thanks
so happy
for
that you're
having me.
here.
Thank you for having me.
Yay, yay. And so, gosh, Nikki and I met through Michael, my husband, Michael Henderson. And when I found out about Nikki and all this research that she's doing, you know I encouraged her to write her story. And so, Nikki, I want you to tell us a little bit about what you started working on.
Okay.
And a little bit about your ancestor you're writing about.
Well, I discovered an ancestor. His name was Hark West Sr., which means he had a son, Hark West Jr., and he was a horse trainer, an antebellum horse trainer, a racehorse trainer, a thoroughbred racehorse trainer, of the most popular, one of the most popular horse ever in the United States. LeCompte set a world record in 1854 in New Orleans, Louisiana. In learning the history, I learned that race horses were the Mercedes-Benz in the 19th century.
Okay, so that was wealth. That was a status
That was a display
symbol.
of wealth. A status symbol was to have a champion, well-bred, a racing champion that was well-bred and had the proper lineage and pedigree. That was, the top-notch thing to have to display your wealth in antebellum.
And in order to have that horse well-trained, you needed to have a good trainer.
You need the best trainer.
And so Hark West was that person for this particular horse.
Yes, there were newspaper ads that I saw advertising for his services. And I have letters between plantation owners looking for negotiating rates for Hark services. And as I mentioned, the great thing is that I don't have to make anything up. All of this is already laid out.
This will not be a fictionalized
No,
tale.
it will not be fiction. And it's just waiting for me to organize and to, not necessarily chronologically, but kind of organize into events. And
so how are you starting to tell the story?
Well, I have an outline,
Yay,
and I got a wonderful
she said
suggestion.
My favorite word. She has an outline.
I have a wonderful suggestion to outline, and I have. I'm trying to identify all the players.
Now, was Hark ever paid for his work?
Trainers were slaves, which means their rate, their money, was paid. The owners negotiated.
Okay.
But in the history of training, I understood that they had opportunities to make money, and there were a lot of perks that were attributed to horse trainers. And horse trainers had a privilege, as far as the life of a slave. Horse trainers had privilege. They could travel, they could have tips, they could, had special status. And for you to have that position as the trainer of the number one horse on the plantation. And in doing this story, I had to understand the culture of this. And the culture was the horse was the extension of the plantation owner.
Wow, okay.
And that horse was entrusted to a very special person. Now, this is not to say that this was not slavery. This man was still enslaved.
Right.
There were people that had power and control over his life, but he was able to achieve some type of autonomy to travel, because I found a letter, and one of the letters said, well, I don't know where he is right now, but when he checks back in with me, I'll let you know if he can come meet you. So,
I don't know where he is right now, but I'm pretty sure he's coming back.
Right.
Interesting.
And another letter, he said, well, he's at his wife's house in North Carolina, but when he returns, I will send him to you on the next train.
So he lived apart from his enslaver?
He was able to travel. So, he had to travel.
Right.
Horse racing involved the breeding of horses. So every season he would have to travel to Kentucky for breeding. He would have to travel to the races and take the horse perhaps on a train or a barge or to take horses to races.
Well, I for one am excited to hear the story about Hark, and I cannot wait until you write this book. I know it'll be done. I'm not trying, no pressure, right? But I know it'll be done, and I'm happy to
This is American history.
It is American. So you're going to give us a history lesson in this book, as well as some information about your ancestor and your connection. I love that.
Yes.
So now I want to talk about RootsTech. Tell us about your experience here, your first time at RootsTech.
Well, it's very comprehensive. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of people, but I'm happy to be here because I'm able to network and I'm able to see you too, and I'm able to meet a lot of people that I've met. I know from online, but I hadn't yet met in person. So.
Okay, and I know it's still early in the conference, but is there one tip you would give people who have never attended RootsTech? What one thing would you tell them to do?
Make sure you check the schedule, check the conference schedule ahead of time, and decide what you want to do before you arrive in Salt Lake. And have comfortable shoes, and have some water, and treat it like a marathon because it's an all-day thing for three or 4 days.
It's all about connecting with people. So this is Nikki Williams Sebastian. So glad you had a chance to sit down and talk to me.
Thank you.
I'm excited. Y'all look for her book. Trust me, she's awesome. And again, stay tuned for more from the Genealogist Writing Room.